Florida's Women in Energy Leadership Forum was launched to inform, inspire, motivate diverse talent to join the energy workforce by intentional recognition of current female energy leaders who contribute to growing Florida's economy and the purposeful sharing of their professional journeys. We are creating opportunity. Join me each week as we meet new leaders in energy and listen to their important roles in an industry that is vital to the country's future. Welcome. Hi there, I'm Lila Jaber, and I created the Florida's Women in Energy Leadership Forum to talk to rock stars, women in the energy space, just like our guest today, Carolyn Bermudez. Welcome, Carolyn. I have to tell you, I've been so excited about our time together. As most of our viewers from Florida know, you and I go way back. Not that we're trying to date ourselves today, but Carolyn started her career in Florida many years ago, right, Carolyn? And we first met when I served on the PSC, and you were with Florida City Gas, and watched how all of the changes occurred at Florida City Gas and rose all the way to be the vice president of Florida City Gas under Southern Company, and then Next Era. But today you're with us because you are the Georgia State President of Liberty Utilities. So congratulations on all of the success you've had in your career, Carolyn. Welcome to our show.
Thanks, Lila. And I am so happy to be here, and it's nice seeing you again. So it's been a while, but I'm happy to be a part of the Florida Forum again.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, you can't run, right? You can't run. You can't get away. You're stuck. You're stuck with us. And that's such a testament to friendships and energy, and in particular, the women in energy. You were such a role model. I shared with you on behind the scenes that I received so many, you must be sure to say hello. Look, Beth Keating is already, you see Beth, I mean, she's there, she's listening, and we're such great fans of you and your work and your career. And then I don't want to forget to tell you that I spent some time yesterday with Braulio Baez. I got to catch up with Braulio, and he said, please say hello to Carolyn, miss her terribly. So I delivered that message, and now it's on the two of you to catch up with one another. So we have a lot to talk about, Carolyn. I want to hear all about Liberty and what you're doing. Now, the company is in multiple jurisdictions, and in some parts of the U.S. and Canada, you are doing water, wastewater, natural gas, and electric. But as the state president of the Georgia operations, what services does Liberty provide in Georgia?
So in the state of Georgia, Liberty actually only provides natural gas, but we're constantly looking for opportunities to expand in the state.
And so that's an invitation to. So I see that's Carolyn speak for if you've got a water and wastewater company you want to sell in Georgia. There's Carolyn's email, right? I have to tell you, in preparing for today's interview, I spent some time on your website, and I love the branding. I love the new brand. I'm sure that's not accidental, Carolyn. Just Liberty, right? Less name, more heart. What were you all trying to do there with that rebranding? It seems very purposeful messaging.
Yeah, so our new logo, it is the Radiant Heart, and it embodies our energy, our optimism about the future. It symbolizes the heart we bring into serving our communities as well as our customers. It means clean, sustainable energy and water. So the Radiant Heart expresses how we put our heart into everything that matters, that be it from reliable, affordable, and effortless service to our communities, and greener, cleaner, more sustainable systems for our future.
What does that mean for natural gas, though? So how do it's not your traditional, we're going to look at solar and clean energy, if you were an electric company, right? So in the area of natural gas, what does that mean to you?
Well, it still means the same thing around greener and sustainability for natural gas. We are looking at ways to make our natural gas systems more sustainable, be it renewable natural gas or hydrogen. Those are all things that we're looking at for the future. because natural gas will be here. It is a long-term energy source, and Liberty is committed to natural gas and the future of natural gas.
So Florida to Georgia, you didn't travel too far, but how's that transition been, Carolyn? I see you got a smile on your face. It can't be bad. You seem, the happiest I've seen you, and I know you're coming off of a great trip and a great vacation. So the transition must be going well.
Oh, I am very, very happy. I could not have asked to be with a better company. The transition really has been great. It has been really wonderful. I joined Liberty in the middle of a pandemic. So, of course, that was unusual in itself, not being able to meet people face to face in our corporate facilities and not actually traveling to our corporate office, which is in Canada. But it has been good. Everyone was really, really intentional about reaching out to me, getting to know me through video chats. And the team in Georgia is absolutely wonderful. I have a great team there. They've embraced me. They're really excited about me being there. Yeah. They're excited to have a president with strong natural gas ties and background. So it helps them when they're coming to speak with me about concerns about natural gas and what they're doing. And they have bought into my vision for the company. So I'm very, very excited.
I can see it. Now, obviously, I don't want to violate a personal confidence you and I have enjoyed over the years, but I will say, I don't think you mind my sharing with our listeners that this company was very purposeful in finding you, right?
Yes.
I mean, they found you. You didn't find them. And probably, I'm sure that's a testament to your natural gas experience, but I have a feeling it's more than that. It's the whole package. So what do you want to share about that with our viewers and listeners?
Well, so Liberty actually reached out to me, and it was interesting because actually at the time I really didn't know a whole lot about Liberty, but someone shared with them my information and they reached out. And I would say from the very first interview that I had with them, I knew this would be a great fit for me. They're a great company, and they're a company that truly, truly cares about their employees, cares about their customers. And we hear that a lot. We hear that a lot when people talk about companies. But I can tell you, Liberty actually really embodies that. There have been things that I have seen joining this company, the culture of how they treat their employees, the culture of what, they expect from their leaders. It's just been a wonderful experience. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy that they saw my bio and they thought I would be a good fit for them. And they reached out. So I'm glad just to be a part of the Liberty family.
It's wonderful. We've got our first audience question, Carolyn, and I would just remind our viewers, feel free to post your questions in the Facebook chat box. Happy to forward those to Carolyn. So our first question, no surprise, Carolyn, are you hiring? So inquiring minds want to know.
Yes,
is Liberty growing, and how do people bring their resumes to your attention?
Liberty is growing. In fact, we're hiring in pretty much all areas. The company is expanding, so there's opportunities there. If people are interested, they can go to the website and they can apply for any position across our entire footprint. And, I know a lot of people may want to work and live in Bermuda, where we have a company, but we also have a company in Chile, and we have 13 states in the United States. So there's opportunities there, and we are growing. So yes, we are hiring, and I'm also hiring in Georgia. Mm-hmm. So anyone with natural gas experience, please reach out. I don't mind stealing talent from others.
Right. So there's proof of that now. You're on here. This will get played back. Is that Macon, Georgia? Where is headquarters in Georgia?
It's Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus.
And,
okay, great.
And one of the things I would say, because when I went to Columbus, had the opportunity to visit, I didn't know a lot about Columbus. I really didn't. And I tell you, I have truly, truly enjoyed being in that city. I came to find out Columbus is the third, maybe fourth in some measurement, largest city in Georgia. So it's not a small city, but we also have an office in Gainesville, Georgia, which is not far from Atlanta. So we have two locations there.
That's great. So I recall one of the things that happened to you before you left Florida is you were named one of the most prominent Black female leaders in the state of Florida. And obviously, that's again a testament to your hard work, but it's also indicative of there aren't very many female leaders in the energy space, much less African American leadership in the state at those highest levels, right, Carolyn?
Yes.
I think we can't effectuate change without recognizing that. And as you know, I created the forum for two reasons. Obviously, we want to bring attention to the great things that the energy industry does in terms of driving the Florida economy. In the case of the Florida Forum, driving the Florida economy and changing careers for not just the women they employ, but families and generations to come, right? But the second reason is to really create these opportunities where you can recruit additional talent into the industry. So all that to ask you, Carolyn, do you find now that things are on the path toward change? Are there more opportunities for women and women of color in the energy space?
I think there is. When we think back to last year, and all of the things that happened, the racial challenges we faced in this country, the disparities that people now are aware of. And I think more and more companies have made diversity part of their focus and their goal, and trying to reach out to ensure that they're expanding their leadership team as well as their employee base with more diverse candidates. So I think it's improving. My hope, however, is that this is not something that's just going to be another moment in time.
Right.
That right now is the focus because of all that has happened. And we get past this moment and we haven't seen any real material changes. So I think companies are focused on it right now. I would like to see some of that focus result in actual position and the numbers increasing in leadership, in board members, and just, all aspect of our industry. I think that will be the real evidence that, we're doing better and things are better.
You and I have always been candid about what each of our roles are in this regard, right? Mm-hmm. We've got our personal responsibility to grow and lead by example. We have the responsibility to pay things forward and create opportunities for others. And obviously when we reach those leadership places, we have the opportunity to look from within. And, I always say, I don't know if this is the right terminology, but I always say to pluck people out and provide those opportunities. And as I think about you, we are both, you and me, I would put both of us in this category. We are both examples of plucking people out, right, and providing those opportunities. But more importantly, someone did that for us. And there's someone very near and dear to both of our hearts. And I love the example you gave in a recent interview. Someone asked you about you're an example of a great professional accomplishment. And I don't want to steal your thunder. I want you to share that story. But part of that story is an example of someone who took special interest in you. Can I put you on the spot and have you share that story? Carolyn, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. And this was early in my career. I've been in the industry at this point for over 20 years. And throughout that period of time, I had not moved up, not very far, regardless of how hard I worked, regardless of what I did. I was probably no higher than a manager at this point. And I had substantial knowledge about the business. I was the go-to person at Florida City Gas for anything relating to the company. And yet it did not help me progress through the organization as high as or as fast as I thought I should. And I had the fortune of having a leader come to Florida from our corporate location to lead the Florida location. And he saw something in me, I guess, that I didn't really see in myself, because he helped to mentor me and he helped to guide me through the path of really what became my career. And he challenged me, because he challenged me to think differently and to take risk, because I was always accounting, finance. I loved that role. It was comfortable to me. And he understood that I was not going to get where I needed to be unless I stepped outside my comfort zone. So he forced me to do that. He forced me to look at operations, which was an area, in order for me to ever be a leader in the company or lead Florida City Gas, I had to get operations experience. And that scared me to death. I was like, oh, I can't do this. That's not the role for me. I cannot leave operations. I'm not an engineer. I don't know all the aspects of the pipes going in the ground. And he told me, you can do that. And he believed in me. So he helped me gain the confidence I needed to take that risk and reach out and, take that opportunity. And it was.
Do we want to give him credit? Do we want to name him? Do we want to embarrass him and name him? I think we should.
Yes.
Who is the he, Carolyn?
It's Melvin Williams. Melvin Williams. And he's been a huge influence in my professional life. So yeah. I don't mind giving him that credit. It was because of him that I was able to reach the levels I reached at Florida City Gas. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful to him for that.
There's so many lessons in what you just said, right? Which of course was what he was trying to impose on you, right? Move around the organization so that you can grow, show what you're capable of, but also the getting out of your comfort zone. So let's drill down on that for our viewers. The getting out of your comfort zone. How can women in the industry, if they don't have the Melvins in their life, right? If they haven't found that champion, what is it they can do to really have their supervisors provide that opportunity to get out of the comfort zone?
Well, I think it starts with each of us ourselves. If we don't have that Melvin Williams or someone like a Melvin Williams to be our mentor or someone to encourage us to try different things, we've got to find that within ourselves, because, and some supervisors will do it. Some supervisors will step forward and say, I see talent in you. I think there are greater opportunities that you can pursue. And as women, we have to trust our knowledge, our skills, and our abilities, and not be hesitant and be willing to take that risk. And I understand for some women, women, we are also the primary care provider for kids at home, for sometimes elderly parents. And it's challenging. It's challenging when you start a career, you have worked in that career for some time, you're familiar with it, and you have the flexibility you sometimes need to be able to take care of those things out of work. But what I would challenge women to do is take the step and, try to pursue those opportunities, because if you're within the same organization, your reputation will follow you. You'll still have that flexibility. You'll still have at least the reputation that you're going to bring with you, and not be afraid to say, I'm going to try this new thing. I'm going to change course and do something different, because sometimes that's what it takes in order for us to grow beyond where we have limited ourselves to be.
Right. I mean, do you think you would have been president of Liberty Utilities if you hadn't had the operations experience?
Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not. There's no doubt in my mind I would not be president of Liberty today. Operations experience is critical. It is critical. You've got to understand the fundamentals of the company, and we are a utility. And the fundamental of what we do is putting pipe in the ground and servicing that pipe and providing service to our customers. And I think that helped me, get where I am today.
Yeah, and that's not to say, obviously, every woman in energy is not trying to become president of the company, right? But but it's just an example, I think, of to go to the next level, you have to show an increase in experience, right? So if it's accounting to CFO, it's constantly pushing toward that next level of sophistication, right? Next level of professional sophistication. And Carolyn, would you agree with me that there's also nothing wrong with asking, making the ask and expressing the interest in moving up the food chain?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And one of the things I learned, and I learned this from another leader as well, when I was at Florida City Gas early in my career, I didn't apply for a lot of roles. I was just content where I was. I did not put in a lot of different applications for roles that I should have applied for. And someone pulled me aside, and what they said to me is, "You are very talented. You're highly respected in the company. But most of senior management really don't think you want to do anything other than what you're doing now, because you're not putting yourself out there. You're not seeking other opportunities. You're not speaking to anyone about progressing. So they feel this is where you want to be." So I agree with you. We've got to ask. We've got to let others know we're interested.
That's
got
interesting.
to seek those opportunities.
Your silence was actually a signal to an unintended signal to those leaders, right? That's very interesting. Sometimes when you're not asking, whether you think you can't or you're not qualified, that inaction sends a signal as well.
It absolutely does. It really does. Because basically they don't know what you want. They don't know what your aspirations are if you don't tell them. If you don't seek it out, they really don't know. And they didn't know mine. So the first thing I did was apply for a role. I didn't necessarily want the role. It was not the position for me. But that person, he told me, "You're going to apply for that position. You may not think you're qualified for it. You may not want it, but you're going to apply. And the reason you're going to apply is to achieve something else. And that is to show others you're interested in progressing."
So, Carolyn, again, I know this, personally, and so at the risk of violating another personal conversation, I also know that you've been offered positions that you've turned down. And so, talk to me about that struggle and what you worried about, and were there consequences to that? Because that all I know that from my own career, from your career, from our our other friends, where the struggle is real. It's like, well, if I turn this down, will I get another offer? Will I get another opportunity? And what message will that send?
Yeah, it's difficult. I was offered a position within the company, and it was a really good position. And it was one that a former boss of mine thought I would be a perfect candidate for, and reached out and made the offer. I was very concerned about the position because I had moved over to operations, fell in love with operations, and this would have taken me back. It would take me out of operations into another area. And I loved the boss. I loved the boss. And it wasn't because of who I would be reporting to that made that a challenging decision. What was challenging about it is it wasn't necessarily what I thought was a good fit for me at the time, professionally. I was loving what I was doing. I saw progression in the area where I was working, and I didn't think it was a good time to make that move. So I felt concerned that I couldn't turn it down. So I reached out to people, and I talked to quite a few people about it. And ultimately, actually, I accepted the role. And because of some changes or some modifications that were made to the role, I was able to then decline the role later. So, but I knew then, the moment that I'd accept the role, that it was not the right decision. And what I would tell people is be less afraid of saying no, and more afraid of taking the position and not being happy and not doing a good job.
That's right.
And ultimately, once I accepted that role and I started to take on some of the responsibilities, I knew that was not going to be my passion. I knew it was not going to be what I wanted to do long term. So the opportunity presented itself. I don't know if, there was somebody looking out for me.
Always.
I'm not sure how it happened, but I got the
Always.
opportunity to then decline the role. And I did. And I stayed in my my current role in operations. So one of the things I would say, though, is, we always hear there are consequences. We do. And for some companies and some people, there are consequences. But what I would say is, if you take a role you're really just not happy with, and a role that you're not going to be passionate about, there are consequences there as well, because you're not going to perform as well as you will if you're doing something you really want or like doing. So my advice would be, if it's not a good fit, be okay with saying no.
Yeah, and can we add to that? Can I add my own little advice related to, and it's all in how you communicate it,
Mm-hmm.
right? To do it in a way that's professional, honest, and preserves your opportunity to be considered for additional roles, right?
Yes.
As I recall, with that particular opportunity for you, it was not personal at all related to the role or the company. It really was more inward looking, and you were extremely candid about that.
Yes, and one of the things, as you said, doing it the right way. Even when I took a second look at it, and speaking to the department leader, the senior executive. One of the things that I did that I think she will always appreciate is that I helped her identify someone that was even better for this opportunity, mm-hmm. and made a commitment to help build or mentor that person in order to make sure they were successful. So that was truly appreciated. And so I did everything in my power to help make the selection of the next person successful, and to assist in any way. Whatever it was she saw in me that person may have been lacking, I wanted to help her develop that in that person.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That was my commitment to her.
Absolutely. Look, you've got another friend saying hello to you. You remember Bill Wagner? Great job, yes. Carolyn. Great job. Wave to Bill. So here's a question from a viewer. What has been the biggest challenge in your career so far?
Ooh, the biggest challenge in my career so far. I've been with a company that was acquired 4 times.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I know, personally. Yeah.
So 4 times. And you know what? And with all of those acquisitions, they all presented some unique challenges. And I would say that may have been the biggest challenge, being able to, sustain and continue to work for a company that have been acquired 4 times. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to transition with the company through all of those acquisitions. But, it did come with its challenges. It came with the challenges in terms of how do you acclimate to the different cultures? How do you transition the team over to the different cultures and be able to sustain the business and keep morale high as we go through those transitions? So if I had to say 4 acquisitions, yeah, that's a big challenge.
I know how many people can say that, right? And you did it so well. And so with every one of those opportunities, you learned about the new company and the jurisdictions and the way each company did business. And so let me turn that into a question coming back to Liberty Utility. So now you know the Florida market so well, and you know how natural gas is provided, sold wholesale and otherwise in the Florida market. How difficult was the substantive transition into Georgia? Are there a lot of substance differences in the way you're regulated and the way you market?
Actually, no, it was not really a big difference. So Liberty in Georgia, when Georgia went through the deregulation, Liberty opted to continue to be the wholesale provider of gas to its customers. So
Okay.
Liberty is not deregulated to that extent. So it's really similar to how we manage customers in the sale of natural gas here in Florida. The thing that I would say that is very similar as well, very great regulatory agency, similar to what we had in Florida. I brag about the Florida regulators all the time. And
Yay! Braulio, are you listening? I know the commissioners and the A's listen occasionally, so I'll make sure that Braulio gets this.
So I think Georgia has a similar environment, and I'm getting to know the regulators there. And I find that when you are working in a state with a really good regulatory body, it makes it so much easier to do business. And I've been fortunate enough to have that in Florida and now in Georgia.
Good. Yeah. So what you're describing is the constructive regulatory environment that really facilitates your ability to grow, right? So,
Yes.
So what is it when you talk to your team members in your Georgia operations? What do you tell them your vision is for growth?
So for Georgia, and I think all of us know right now, natural gas, we are being looked at very differently from state to state and nationally, and and even internationally. You asked the question talking about the logo, our new logo. What does that mean for natural gas? So I think for all of the natural gas leaders, we're hearing that from our employees. What does this change in environment mean for us? So as president of Liberty Utility in Georgia, my message to them is, we're going to continue to grow this business. We're going to continue to expand. We would do some of that by establishing some sustainable, diverse natural gas, and we will expand into those areas. But for the most part, natural gas in terms of our customer growth, be it the generic customer growth or expanding beyond our territory, those are things that are still options for us. And I challenge my leaders to find ways to go out and make that happen, because we are in an industry where natural gas is still very affordable. Mm-hmm. It is a clean fuel source, and it is domestic. We don't have to rely on foreign engagement for natural gas. So I challenge my leaders to look beyond the rhetoric and some of the things that are happening out there, and let's stay focused on what we're doing and how we're serving our customers. And if we can continue to do that, provide them a better product, we're not going anywhere. We'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Carolyn, in terms of your ability to communicate with the regulators and the stakeholders in Georgia, you do one of the differences is that Georgia has an elected set of commissioners, whereas Florida, as you know, has appointed commissioners. Does that present any political challenge in terms of how you do business there?
Actually, no, it does not. They are elected and they go through their election cycle. But in terms of their engagement with the utilities, their expectation on how we serve our customers, mm-hmm. the safety of our system is still the same. It really is the same. So we engage with them the same way we did in Florida, that I did in Florida. They have the same goals. It doesn't really change what their objectives are in terms of regulating the utilities here. So yeah. I don't feel any difference in them being elected or appointed.
That's good. So we have another question from an audience member, and the question is, I see the picture of the baby in the frame. How do you maintain work-life balance?
So, it is challenging, and people talk about work-life balance. So I'll talk about work-life balance pre-pandemic, because I think post-pandemic has changed all of our expectations and our employees' expectations around work-life balance. And how I manage my work and my work life and my personal life has always been a blend. You have to blend them both, and blending them both really don't make it feel as if either one is neglected. So when you have, evening events, you take your spouse, or so, you blend the worlds. But today is different. I mentioned I joined the company in the middle of a pandemic. I have not yet met my boss face to face. So I think our world have changed. I think our employees are expecting us to change how we work. Our employees are going to demand that of us. So in terms of work-life balance, I don't know that the world we worked in before is going to be the world, at least of the near future. Right. It may change again over time, but as we come out of this pandemic and the world starts to open up more, our employees, they have grown accustomed to being in this environment and working effectively, by the way, in this environment, and having the flexibility to work when they want to work and work where they want to work. Right. I think it's going to be hard to take that away.
Carolyn, one of the things I have found over the last year and a half now is I'm thrilled that employers have gained the trust in their employees to understand you don't have to see them every day to trust them, to trust that they're working, right? That's the first thing. So realizing how productive our team members are in this new world, new way we do business. But the second thing is, I think it's making us all realize that there were probably some lost efficiencies that we would have been able to capture along the way that have really come to light because of the pandemic. Let's face it, we're all using technology now in a new way that's really not new. We've just started taking advantage of it, right?
Right.
So how have you, are you obviously, again, what you are able to talk about, are you looking at your company and bringing back the employees with an eye toward those efficiencies, right?
Yeah, well, like I said, employees are expecting and demanding, some of that flexibility. And Liberty is looking at that corporate wide. We have come up with a policy that allows our employees to opt into that flexibility in terms of how they work and when they work. Being a utility, however, we cannot offer that flexibility to everyone. And that's going to be a challenge in itself, because you're going to have a workforce where you cannot offer any of that flexibility. And then you're going to have a part of your workforce that's going to demand that flexibility. So we've got to balance both of those, and we've got to do it in a way that we do not lose the way that employees interact with each other, and create this environment where one group feel as if they're unable to take advantage of flexibility, and they start to hate or resent the group that's able to do it. It's one thing to do that in the middle of a pandemic and explain you're doing it this way to keep employees safe, right, and you're doing it to keep your customers safe. But as we come out of the pandemic and we start to see more and more people become vaccinated and the threat is minimal, it's going to be a challenge. I'm not going to say it's not going to be that way, but I think people will understand. And I think, when we look at what we can take advantage of, like you said, we don't need a lot of face-to-face in person. We have the technology to do a lot of that via either WebEx or whatever, Teams. You have so much technology that you can utilize to stay connected to your employees. And instead of just being in the room, you have people who have long commutes, and you have people that feel like they're so much more productive if they can stay and work remotely, at least part of the time. And I think, being able to allow our employees to take advantage of that is going to be critical. It's going to keep morale high. It's going to make people work harder. There's just so many positives to it. It's really going to be hard to say no across the board. Nobody's doing this. We're all coming back into the office 100% of the time. I think what this pandemic has proven is you don't need to do that, and you can still run your business. You don't need everybody there.
You're going to get a flood of resumes from Florida, right? You don't have to live in Georgia to work for Liberty Utilities. You heard it here. Occasionally, you might have to go have a face-to-face. So one of the things I know that you are absolutely passionate about is your responsibility to work with colleges and universities to train the next generation of skilled labor. And, I know obviously, again, with the pandemic, you've probably not been able to do a whole lot of that. But I know you were active in this regard in Florida, where you went into the schools and talked about your industry and tried to match make future employees to fill the need, frankly, that you had in finding employees. How is that for you in Georgia and with your own company? Do you feel like you can find the skilled workforce you need?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we have seen, finding skilled, non-skilled, finding the workforce period has become really challenging in this country. But we have not faced that, not as extensive as some. What I would say, though, we are establishing similar programs that we developed here in Florida with the school systems. We have right now a couple of schools where they have the program where you can go in like a technical school and teach them about natural gas and have them be a feeder source for your company. And I've talked to a couple of the chambers there in Georgia, and they're eager to start something with us. In fact, they've set up meetings with the school, a local school district, to facilitate that. It is critical. It's critical. And you may have heard me say this many, many years ago. I think natural gas and working in energy is the best kept secret that we've ever experienced, because we tend to get people who are either friends or family members of our existing employees. Mm-hmm. And we need to broaden beyond that. We need to invite more diversity into this workforce and reach out and, into those underserved communities and educate them about the benefits of working in this industry. So it is a passion of mine, and it's something that I have taken that passion with me to Georgia, and my team there, they're working on establishing similar programs. And we've reached out to 2 or 3 trade organizations, as well as some school systems, and we're in the process of setting something up.
That's great, Carolyn. I would expect nothing less from you. So you know why we established the Florida's Women in Energy Leadership Forum, and you've always been at the forefront of supporting that, for that second year college student. Look at Beth clapping for you again. For Beth, Carolyn is coming to the forum. So there you go. We'll have our reunion there. For that second year college student, what advice would you give her to really begin looking at exploring an opportunity with the energy industry? What does she need to do to get that first step in?
Well, I think, attending a forum like yours is one of the great steps, because they get exposed to so many people, and they can make connections and reach out to people they can stay in touch with. So, and I think that's important. If there's anyone interested in energy, they need to identify people in that industry, people that they can connect to, either through a friend or a family member. Allow that connection and let them mentor them, guide them through that process. So when they graduate, they've got connections. They understand more about the companies, the opportunities that exist, and where they may fit in. But one of the things I will say to any young college student, be willing to be flexible, be willing to move, and be willing to understand, you look at these positions, it's not always clear what this job is. Our positions are really,
I know it.
It's not clear. And I think young people, they look at the job title and they have no idea what the jobs are, and they're reluctant to apply. That's why they need to talk to people in the industry. They need to reach out and understand what is the requirement for this job, what are the responsibilities of the job, and be willing to try something new, be willing to move to where the job opportunities are. But the first thing they need to do is connect with people in the industry. because it is a very large industry, be it gas, water, electric. It's a very large industry. And look for internships before they graduate. Look for
Yes.
internships. There's a lot of internships out there. So seek out some internships, and that'll give them an opportunity to learn more about the industry and help them understand what they like or don't like about the jobs they may be pursuing.
Absolutely. And I promise y'all, I did not pay, nor did I have anything to do with Carolyn giving a plug to the forum. But you're right. I mean, the forum, for those of you who don't know, the forum does sponsor college students. And so we'd love to have you. Feel free to reach out to me, Lila Jaber at lilajaber.com. If you are a second year college student, would love to have you there. It's great access to the energy industry executives. But something you said, Carolyn, I want to delve into a little bit more as we wind this down. I want to be sensitive to your time here with us. One of the things over my adulthood, I've realized talking to companies when they say to us, all of us, you included, I can't find diverse employees or diverse workforce. And I always say, well, where are you looking? Where are you seeking? But over time now, I realize, well, what are you putting in your job descriptions? What are you putting in your advertisements? Because so often, if you really look at the words, people do think they're not qualified. And I think that's a new lens for all of us. It's not, where Carolyn left in Florida might not be the position to advertise today, right? And so more often than not, I'm finding, and it's all unintentional, of course, we are a victim of being too close to what we're working on, right? And what I'm finding is that we're trying to hire the person that just left the position as opposed to really looking at what you need today or looking for the potential. I don't know if that's been your experience, but it certainly is something that I've noticed over time. Not just where are you seeking the employee, but what kind of employee are you looking for?
No, I think you're absolutely right. We are creatures of habits, even in these companies. And there's I would say they're looking for a certain type of employee. They have people that have been in these roles that have been successful. And that's the model that they just want to repeat. Right. And they tend to look for that. But I think if we can get young people or different people to come in and interview for these roles and people to hear the talent that exists out there, the different ways or different approaches to the solutions or the problems we have to get these solutions, I think they would give them an opportunity. I really do believe that. But I think we're not getting the right people in the door. And the reason we're not getting them in the door is because they're not applying. They're looking at these roles or these companies and saying, that's not for me, or there's no way I can be successful there. And we need to change that. We need to be very, very intentional about reaching out to that talent, reaching out to that diverse group and getting them into the process. And I think once we can get them into the process, I really do believe they'll be successful. But we got to get them there first. And that is either clarifying the job descriptions or having them reach out to better understand the job descriptions. Right. But it's also understanding that you have to take a risk because, sometimes people are reluctant to go where the jobs are. And we need to get them to go where the jobs are and Absolutely. Be willing to take that chance.
Yeah. You're such a leader. I just... From the bottom of my heart, I love you. I miss you. Thank you for your years of friendship. Thank you for examples of leadership. I know you miss leadership, Florida. Amy Mangan told me to say hello to you. What class were you?
Ooh.
Yeah. We shouldn't talk about what number they're on now. But
oh, God. I just had...
You're not 36, are you? What are you? Yeah, you're in the late 30s.
Yeah. 38.
38, are you?
37.
All right. Well, they're having their annual meeting, so maybe we'll see you there. Yeah. I hope so. We'll look at it.
I would definitely love to participate. I miss it. I mean, it was that was one of the best experiences I've had. I
Yeah.
have to say, it really was. We still text each other and
Yeah.
stay in contact today. I haven't been as active here as I would like to be. I'm spending so much time in Georgia, but
No, it can't possibly be as good as it is. What is it we always say? So I always say Leadership Florida is leadership in Florida. I guess now I have to say, and Georgia too.
And Georgia. But no, it was one of the best experiences I went through. I will forever remember that. And thanks to you who encouraged me to do it. And I do appreciate your friendship and your guidance over my career, because
you're stuck with me, right? We're stuck with each other. And you know what? That's a good stick. We like that. And for our viewers and listeners, I hope you find the Carolyn in your life. I hope you find that person, the Beth Keating and the Carolyns and the Amys and those women in energy, whatever your industry is, whatever your energy industry is, because it just has so much meaning, Carolyn, right? It's bigger than our jobs. It's bigger than our profession. It's about forging opportunities for one another, paying it forward, becoming that mentor and champion, and then always stepping back to recognize someone did that for you. So I love you. Yeah, we are stuck with one another and we like it. We like it.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for being with us, Carolyn.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
and
having me.
I'll see you in October, where we're going to celebrate my birthday too. 29 again. 29 again. Yeah.
We absolutely will.
For a couple of decades. 29 for a couple of decades. Yeah. All right, you. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you,
thank you.
Carolyn. See you.
Goodbye.